Hello, beautiful people. My name is Wanda. I am a women's trauma and mental health advocate, and welcome to Her Story in a Smile movement. I decided that it was time to do a reintroduction video, and what better time than now to introduce myself, introduce my movement, and what is coming up this year specifically for this movement. And so, as I've mentioned, I am a women's trauma and mental health advocate, and this happened over the course of almost 4 years. Her Story in a Smile movement will be turning 4 next week. That's a very exciting accomplishment milestone for this movement, it originally started as a page for me to self-express, right? I consider myself a trauma survivor who has experienced many types of trauma that unfortunately have impacted my way of life over the years. However, I have not let it control me. I have not let it overpower how I aim to move forward in my daily life. And that is what came to be this movement about, a reminder for women to be able to self-express, a reminder for women to reclaim their voice and their power. A lot of times women feel kind of left out in society, in the sense that things happen to us as women. This is a women movement. That's why I focus a lot on women. And therefore, I make it my mission, right, to remind women that as lonely as they may feel, especially while they're trying to overcome their traumas, that it's not too late to speak up, that their mental health does matter, and therefore they need to tend to it as soon as possible, however, with grace and with the assurance that they are not alone, right? It is up to us individuals to heal, to take that action for ourselves, because only we ourselves know what we need more of. However, the reminder that you are not alone comes from in the sense that if you need help in reclaiming your voice, that I and many other women are here to do that with you, right? Whenever you're ready, of course. However, this movement if you have been a long time supporter, I appreciate you, and therefore you have seen my growth, you have seen the movement's growth and all the areas I tap into. Initially, I believe I started with the mental side of healing, and then I went on towards the emotional, and I believe last year I tapped more into the physical, right? And as a believer of holistic healing, I believe that we need to tap into all sides, not just one side and neglect the other. We need to tap into each part of healing as a whole. And this year, Her Story in a Smile movement is focused on the spiritual side of healing. And for me personally, that has been reconciling my relationship with God. And I am not coming from a religious perspective or point of view. I'm coming more from the spiritual side of healing. We all need that higher calling, the higher source that will help us during times where, talking to another person or going to therapy or working out or eating better, whatever, may not fulfill the type of healing that we need during that time. And for me, God has been calling my name for the last few years now. And then God first called to me, or at least the first time I did actually listen to God was when I started this movement. Without me realizing, I came a point in my life where I no longer wanted to be in this lifetime, right? And I had to dig deeper. I had to truly ask myself, did I want to leave this lifetime, or did I just want the suffering to end? And that's where I started to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I came across a book that allowed me to view God in a way that allowed me to be open to seeking him, right? And little by little, I started to find ways to speak to God. But it wasn't until last year where I took another major life change, a very scary but much needed change forward for my own good, right? That I realized I needed to surrender, which surrender is a very scary word, because if you're like me, surrender meant quitting, meant that that I'm giving up. And in reality, when you put surrender in God, it makes sense, right? You're not necessarily you're not giving up. You're surrendering to what no longer serves you, to what no longer works for you. And for me meant, literally getting on my knees and putting my palms together and praying to God that I needed him, to take this pain away and to allow me the opportunity to open up, to not allow my soul and my heart to get cold and frigid because of everything that I have been through, right? And since then, my devotion to God has grown stronger. From last year till now, my mission now is to bring God to all of you, to bring God to this movement, to allow God to speak through me, to allow God to keep opening my heart, to keep opening my mind, because healing also means evolving, means change, right? And if you're someone who is seeking change, who is seeking to be a better you for the good of the collective, then you need to let God in, right? Or a higher source, right? But I did want to prepare you guys that this movement, or at least for me, as the creator, as the founder, I want this movement to be more God-led. And therefore, I'm gonna be focusing more on the spiritual side of healing this year. And I'm still gonna continue advocating for mental health. I'm still gonna be educating everybody on trauma, because I believe trauma is still a matter that needs more tending to, more focus on, more educating on. And because trauma comes with a lot of complexities, right? And it affects us all differently, but there is the educational definition of trauma. And it's basically living a traumatic event, whether that is environmental, personal, like through abuse, just different types of events that can impact your life while you're living it, and even after, years later, that you may not even notice, right? So there's complexities to trauma. And as far as mental health, we all battle, well, not all of us, I hope that not all of us are battling with mental health, but I believe that a lot of us do battle with mental health, whether that's depression, PTSD, bipolar, anxiety, social anxiety, you name it, right? You fill in the blank. And so I believe it's important to educate ourselves on these matters, and how trauma and mental health intertwine with each other, and how when we focus on the holistic approach to healing, we can overcome all these obstacles, all these trials and tribulations. And so I want to welcome you all, whether you've been supporting from the beginning, whether you're new to this page. I welcome you women to come and feel safe. At the end of the day, this movement is meant to be a sanctuary, a safe space for women to reclaim their power again, to reclaim their voice. And I do this by storytelling. So aside from educating, aside from sharing my personal experiences, I do have a series called Behind Her Smile Stories, right? And the way I do this is I ask for you to share a story that surrounds trauma or mental health that you feel ready to share, right? It has to be a story that has been hitting for a while, but it's time now to give it light, to give it its space to be heard and to be seen. And then all I do is reshare that exact same story into my movement, and all I do is, I curate around your story, and I allow other women to find you so that you can find your own community within this movement, right? I call it a movement because it's not a project that has a deadline to it. It's not just about me. It's a movement that is ongoing. Movement means, you keep going, you keep changing, you keep evolving. And so once more, I welcome you all. I look forward to meeting you all, and stay blessed. I love you all, and remember, it all starts with you.